Following the announcement of the government policies and programs by President Ramchandra Paudel, required discussions are being held at the House of Representatives. While the government is set to defend its policies and programs, the main opposition CPNUML has made preparations to criticize them. Good morning, I'm Prarambha Dhal. Let's begin with the main stories. Discussions on the government policies and programs for the upcoming fiscal year begins today. The main opposition CPNUML terms the fiscal policies and programs unacceptable. Police prepare to hand investigation report on Fake Witness Refugee Scam to government attorneys. 6 different acts to be applied against 32 arrested, 5 people along with 2 former ministers accused of carrying out works. Massive protest erupts in South Korean capital Seoul against Japan's push for its controversial nuclear-contaminated water ocean discharge plan from the crippled Fukushima nuclear plant. And Manchester City have been crowned English Premier League champions for a 3rd consecutive season after title rivals Arsenal lose to Nottingham Forest. The Parliament is holding discussions on the upcoming government fiscal policies and programs from today. The main opposition CPNUML meanwhile has made preparations to express disapproval regarding the government policies and programs, citing they were unacceptable. Discussions on the policies and programs of the fiscal year 2080-81 as per the Nepali calendar are being held at the House of Representatives from today, as the Parliament meeting was called for 11 a.m. The parliamentarians from the ruling coalition have made preparations to defend government policies and programs for the upcoming fiscal year, while the main opposition CPNUML has geared up to criticize them. Providing training to the parliamentarians of CPNUML on how to present themselves at the Parliament yesterday, Party Chair Oli said that the policies and programs prepared by the government were unacceptable. Likewise, UML Chair Oli directed his parliamentarians to raise the issues in the Parliament with enthusiasm. The government had presented the policies and programs in the Parliament on Friday through President Ramchandra Paudel. The police have concluded the investigations on the Fake Witness Refugee Scam and have prepared a report on the case as well. Police are preparing to provide recommendations to the District Government Attorney Office to file cases on organized crime and 6 other offences. According to a police source, a total of 32 individuals, including 16 who have been arrested and another 16 who are absconding, have been made defendants in the case. The police, who have prepared the investigation report along with the suggestion to file cases for violating 6 different laws, have also been coordinating with the Office of the Attorney General. Apart from filing cases on organized crime and racketeering, preparations are being made to file cases on carrying out works against the nation, corruption, money laundering against former Home Minister Balkrishna Khad, former Deputy Prime Minister Top Bahadur Rai Mazi, former Home Minister Rambahadur Thapa Security Advisor Indrajit Rai, Balkrishna Khad's then Personal Secretary Narendra Kesi and Teknath Rizal. Likewise, cases of organized racketeering and forgery will be filed against those arrested individuals who were not associated with the government employment. Apart from former Home Minister Rambahadur Thapa's son Pratik and Indrajit Rai's son Neeraj, cases against the other 14 individuals will be filed by putting them in the list of fugitives. There are 14 individuals, including Ashok Pokhrel and Hari Bhakta Shrestha, whose bank accounts were used while receiving money from the victims. Now, according to the police investigation, it has been revealed that Balkrishna Khad had collected 12.3 million rupees, while Indrajit Rai had taken 38 million rupees. The police are making preparations to turn in the complete report of the investigation on the Fake Witness Refugee Scam to the District Government Attorney Office by this afternoon. It is now time for a short break, but for more news, do stay with us. A fire has broken out at a health post in Bukot of Shahid Lakhan Rural Municipality, Ward number 7 of Gorkha. The administration, store and residential room of the health post have been completely damaged by the fire. Ward chairperson of the Rural Municipality 7, Sharan Shrestha, said that the fire had started at around 4 a.m. early this morning because of short circuit and has destroyed medicines and oxygen concentrator among other items. The Meteorological Weather Forecasting Division has predicted rain with thunderstorm in several parts of the country today as well. Rain and thunderstorm has been predicted because of the effects of the westerly winds. According to meteorologist Govinda Kumar Jha, light rainfall will be witnessed in various parts of Koshi, Madhya Province, Bagmati and Gandaki. Meanwhile, The division has said that the weather will remain generally clear in the other provinces. The local levels of Bhutan have begun distributing government allowances to people at their homes amid increasing grievances of difficulty in receiving the allowances at the banks. The senior citizens, those with health issues and those disabled have breathed respite after the local government coordinated with banks to deliver the allowances at their homes. Prior to this, the allowance receivers were compelled to reach the district headquarters to receive their allowance. Mollarani, Naubihani, among other rural municipalities have started distributing security allowances that are provided through banks from accessible areas of each wards. Prior to this, the local government used to provide social security allowances from the local areas. However, the local government had introduced the provision of receiving allowances only through the receiver's bank account, citing increase in irregularities. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, why has the government that speaks of good governance and transparency kept cabinet decisions secret? Your options are A. Ill intention, B. Breaching right to information, and C. Normal process. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. In our Public Voice segment, we have asked in several provinces regarding their views on the government's policies and programs. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
मलको कारखाना खोल्ने जस्ता कुराहरू छन् त्यो अलि सम्भव हुन होला कि जस्तो लाग्छ।
नीतिता कार्यक्रम चाहिँ वास्तव भन्नु पर्दाखेरि जनतासम्म पुग्ने अवस्थाको रहेन।
हिजो ल्याएको नीति तथा कार्यक्रम चाहिँ सरकारले कार्यान्वयन गर्छ भन्ने मलाई पटक्कै लागेको छैन।
आफूहरूलाई राम्रै छ सरकारलाई, जनतालाई राहत चाहिँ केहीमा पनि छैन।
आउन त राम्रै आउँछ तर काम हुँदैन।
कार्यक्रम चाहिँ भित्र अलिकति अस्पष्ट हो कि
नीति तथा कार्यक्रम प्रत्येक वर्ष आउँछ तर उपलब्धिमूलक हो केही आउन जहिले पनि आउँछ उस्तै किसिमको आउँछ।
It is now time for the international news. A massive protest erupted in South Korea's capital Seoul on Saturday against Japan's push for its controversial nuclear-contaminated water ocean discharge plan from the crippled Fukushima nuclear plant, despite international outcry. Protesters gathered in the streets of central Seoul, chanting slogans and holding placards condemning Japan's planned move. Representatives from various civic groups and opposition political parties, including the Democratic Party and the Justice Party, also delivered speeches calling on the South Korean government to come forward to prevent Japan from polluting the sea. Protesters said the ocean discharge plan, once pushed through, will cause serious harm to the marine ecology and the health of human beings and future generations. On the 11th of March, a magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck off the coast of Fukushima Prefecture in Japan, triggering a tsunami that engulfed the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, causing core meltdowns and leading to the worst nuclear crisis since Chernobyl. With tainted water rapidly filling storage tanks at the crippled power plant to capacity, the Japanese government said in January this year that over 1 million tons of tritium-laced wastewater will be released into the Pacific over a 30-year period beginning 2023. The incumbent Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis of the New Conservative Democracy Party seeks re-election with his predecessor Alexis Spiras of the left-wing Syriza party being his main rival in Greece. Sunday's vote is held under a proportional representation system, which makes it difficult for any contender to secure an outright victory, setting the stage for a second round of balloting. The cost of living crisis is the biggest issue for voters who will choose 300 members of parliament. Parties need to secure at least 3% of the popular vote to enter the parliament. They will then be allocated parliamentary seats in direct proportion to their share of the vote. The 300 members of parliament are elected from lists of party candidates and for geographical constituencies. Tens of thousands of Israelis joined protests across the country on Saturday, with such demonstrations now entering their 20th week. Protesters have been repeatedly voicing their anger over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's contested plans to tighten controls on the Supreme Court. The planned overhaul, which would give the government control over naming judges to the Supreme Court and let Parliament override many rulings, was paused after opponents organized some of the biggest street protests ever seen in Israel. The government accuses activist judges of increasingly usurping the role of Parliament and says the overhaul is needed to restore balance between the judiciary and elected politicians. Critics say it will remove vital checks and balances underpinning a democratic state and hand unchecked power to the government. A sea of blue and white Israeli flags, which have become a symbol of both pro and anti-overall protests, coated a central highway in Tel Aviv. Protests garnered lower attendance last night as a truce between Israel and the militant Islamic Jihad group officially came into effect, ending a 5-day escalation, which was the worst episode of the cross-border fire since a 10-day war in 2021. Protests seem to have been invigorated, with Hebrew media estimating some 100,000 in attendance. Next is the weather update. That is all for the moment. Our next news bulletin is at 6 p.m. Thank you for staying with us. Have a beautiful day ahead.